The Paul Leslie Interviews.
Just so that listeners can get a little bit of a background about your life, tell us about where you were born and a little bit about your childhood.
I was born in Gainesville, Georgia, which is about 45 minutes northeast of Atlanta. Grew up in the same house for, till I was 18. Had a pretty happy childhood, I would say. And then moved to Texas to go to college. Studied theater in Dallas, Texas, and once I was through with that, I moved up to Chicago to pursue acting, and now I've found myself coming back to music, which has always been something I've been into, and now it's just like I like it. It's what it's what I would rather do with my time and energy. I mean, I love acting, and it's something that I'll always love, and I think I bring a lot of what I learned in school to my songwriting, to my delivery when I'm singing, and when I'm playing live. Because I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in the training that I got as an actor that totally applies to singer-songwriter stuff, like and performing in general, breathing and being in the moment and all that stuff. So it all jives together in the end.
So you would say, as far as the two passions, you'd say the music one is the hungrier brother.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. The music thing is something that I've always, like from a very young age, like when I was 5 years old, and people would ask me, my grandfather asked me what I wanted to be when I grew up, and, I said a rock star. I don't even know if I had any experience with rock stars, but it just sounded like a good thing to do. I've always sung and sang and started writing songs when I was like 15 years old. And it's always, and even before that, silly like kid songs that I would, just sing and make up as I was walking around and, at recess. So that was, it's always been in me. It's a big part of me.
So I'm sure your theater history, I'm sure that that's probably influenced you and affected you as a music artist.
Absolutely.
So tell us about some of the parts you had and some of the plays and whatnot that had strong musical background to them.
Well, the first play I ever did actually was Oklahoma, which was the high school musical or whatever. And I had sung all my, in chorus and stuff. So when I heard they were doing a musical and I was in high school, I started singing like a poodle. And anyway, so I did Oklahoma. That was a musical, and then I discovered that I had some ability to actually, inhabit a character, and started doing straight plays after that, which are plays without music. And my theater teacher in high school really encouraged me to pursue acting and theater as a career. So in terms of specific plays that influenced my my musical craft and whatnot, I don't know if I have any specific plays that have so much influenced my writing, but at the training at Southern Methodist University where I did my my BFA, really we went really deep into our our past and like into ourselves and stuff, because so much of being a good actor is about understanding yourself. So there'd be various projects and stuff we'd work on that were designed to get us in touch with deep emotions and strong events in our life that we hold a lot of we tie a lot of emotion to. And I remember specifically writing a couple of songs as a way to tap into those emotions. I wrote a song about my dad who passed away when I was 18, which is a song that I still play live today. I wrote that for a class in a solo performance. So yeah, there's just a lot of crossover.
You mentioned you started writing songs when you were about 15. Do you remember your first song?
I do. It was called Changes. I wrote it about a girl that was obsessed with for several years, and we kind of went back and forth, and it was basically like venting my frustration with the fact that we were on again, off again, and at one minute it's good, and the next minute it's all like nothing, So the song was about why it sucks that everything has to change. It's a very 15-year-old theme, because I'm changing. 15 years old, that's a big changing time. Looking back on it, So yeah.
So how did you end up going from Georgia then to Texas, but then now you're in Chicago? How'd you end up in Chicago?
I actually I was originally going to move to New York, but my girlfriend, who was also an actor, or is still an actor, we were in the same class together at SMU, and she had been sort of considering joining a theater company up there that was started by a bunch of SMU alums that was having some success, and so she kind of knew where she was going, and I was like, sort of like, I think New York would be good, maybe LA, don't really know. But I just started this relationship with her, and didn't really want to do long distance, so I was like, all right, I'll go to Chicago, what the hell. And it worked out. I like Chicago.
A whiskey glass in my hand, a cigarette on my lips, an empty bar stool beside me, and your hesitant hips. I don't know what you're doing, but you're doing it to me. Something sad in your smile, I think I'm starting to see. But I'm not one of those, babe. I'd never do you that way. I'm not even sure why I wanna take it all away. No, I can't make you trust me, but I'll help you to try. If you believe me, it must be. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys. Said you grew up too fast, child. You said your daddy was mean. You said they put you to work young on a heavy machine. Said every man in your life you were sorry to know. Said you had to be going. Then you started to go, but I'm not one of those, babe. I'd never do you that way. I'm not even sure why I take it all away. No, I can't make you trust me, but I will sure help you to try. If you believe me, it must be. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys. Well, now I've been around the block a time or two. And I've probably done some things that a good man wouldn't do. Lord, Lord, Lord knows that I've done a lot of searching, and I made up my mind this time. I know you've done a lot of hurting, but I'm the healing kind. So don't walk out that door, 'cause you're afraid I will leave you, knock you up and then down, cheat and deceive you. Well, I suppose I could just be one more man with his lies. But if you believe me, it must be. I'm not one of those guys. I'm not one of those guys.
Today's guest, Billy Gill, with One of Those. Now back to our interview with Billy Gill.
So, what have you been listening to on your own as of late? What kind of music has grabbed your attention?
In the last, I'm obsessed with Martin Sexton right now. He's got some sort of conduit from God, when he's playing, he's just like, there's something greater than what can fit in his, human form. So it's coming out. So he's a big, influence and inspiration, and just a huge fan. And I've also been listening to a lot of hip hop lately, specifically Black Alicious. A good friend of mine, who I actually went to SMU with, his name's Astronautilus. He's doing some really interesting stuff. And I like the Kanye West. He's good. I like his beats. I like his lyrics. And I've been trying to sort of work in, to my folk rock style, some more hip hop oriented lyric writing, especially, and just in the songwriting itself, like it's more syncopations, like a bit of a, I just really connect to that for some reason. I dig the syncopation and the rapping. It's been sort of seeping into me lately, so I like it. I'm trying to use it.
What kind of stuff did you, just in your youth and whatnot, what kind of stuff did you listen to? Or when you think about the music you listened to in high school, for example, what comes to mind?
I was a Beatles fanatic. I mean, still am a huge fan. I mean, I wasn't a fanatic. There are fanatics. I wasn't, wearing the Sergeant Pepper gear to school, but I was a big fan, and the Beatles anthology came out when I was a freshman in high school, which was a huge turning point in my musical tastes, because up to that point I'd gone through a country phase. I'd gone through, just general oldies music and, of course, the grunge phase of the early 90s, Nirvana, Pearl Jam, all that. Yeah, the Beatles were pretty much my biggest influence through high school. Yeah, musically and just artistically. They were just into some really cool stuff. They really took some risks at a time that, nobody else was taking those risks, and I think that's why they're so great.
Not many people can say that they had the chance to cross paths with a Beatle.
Yeah,
and you have an interesting story there, and I think everyone's curiosity is piqued.
Well, I'd be glad to tell it. I was visiting my brother in London. He was doing a study abroad thing there, and
Which broad?
Which what?
I said
which broad? Oh, all of them. And I got into London the day after the 2004 elections. So John Kerry had just lost to George Bush officially, and people in London were none too thrilled about this. So it was sort of surreal experience anyway. It was my first time in Europe, and there's this crazy international news going on that directly affects me, and it was interesting. So my brother picks me up. It's early in the morning. I'm jet lagged and tired, and we go and back to his flat, and I put my stuff down, and then we go out to eat at this place called La Richou. It's in St. John's Wood in London, and I walk in and I look across the restaurant, and I see this guy that looks a lot like Paul McCartney, and then I'm like, no, I'm retarded. Not every Englishman looks like Paul McCartney. And I started to tell my brother that I thought I saw him, and then I was like, no, never mind. And he was like, what? And I was like, I thought that was Paul McCartney over there. And he was like, no, that's him. And then we walk across the restaurant as if someone was guiding us. I don't think anyone was guiding us. Maybe the hostess was seating us. I was fixated on Paul McCartney, and just sat down right next to him, and I was freaking out and what do I do? What do I say? Oh my God, there's Paul McCartney. What do I do? This is something I had thought about actually before in my life. What I'm going to do if I ever cross paths with him. And of course, I was, dumb and speechless. But he was eating brunch, I guess, with his wife and his daughter, or his then wife, and his daughter turned around and I was considering whether or not I should disturb them and say I'm a big fan, and I was talking to my brother and I was like, you know what, never mind, I should just let it be. And then I was like, ooh, yes, indeed. So I felt like the decision was made for me, and then almost instantly, his daughter turns around and starts making faces at my brother and I. And Paul McCartney looks over and he's like, she's quite sociable. And I was like, she's beautiful. And he agreed, and that was pretty much my brush with Paul McCartney. Seemed like a nice fellow.
And you wrote a song shortly thereafter, correct?
Yeah. Well, that was actually a big turning point in my life. That was sort of where I decided, I'm going to do this music thing, because I felt like there's really, how often do people come in contact with the Beatles, especially, when on their first day in London, So I felt like that was some sort of sign, and really was just something that gave me an impetus to do what I had always really wanted to do, and, go for it. So I wrote a song. I was, I had my guitar there. I was just inspired, and I just started writing, just writing for the sake of writing. Because sometimes with songs, especially during that period, I'll just go work on a song for one song I've worked on for a year, and I make little tweaks and chisel away, and it never sounds good enough, and just I'm not a big, I wasn't very prolific during that time period. I wrote maybe 3 or 4 songs a year. But this was sort of throw caution to the wind. I just met Paul McCartney, so I wrote a song called Always on My Mind, which is real simple, and I needed to, simplify my music at the time too, I thought. So I wrote something real simple that reminded me of early Beatles, kind of poppy, kind of overly sweet, but still a really good song. And that was always on my mind.
1, 2, 3, 4. I can't be exact as to why some hearts stay intact. I just know mine is still like that, because you're always on my mind. If I was forced to fight a war and I was shipped to distant shores, there would be nothing to fight for, except that you're always on my mind. You are always on my mind. You are always on my mind. If I could travel around the world, swimming in oceans filled with girls, they'd just be oysters to your pearls. Oh, baby, you're always on my mind. You are always on my mind. You are always on my mind. Always. I could write 1,000 rhymes to let you know you're on my mind. Still, I never find the perfect way to say you make it better all the time, so I'll just keep reading lines. You are always on my mind. You are always on my mind. You are always on my mind.
Now back to our talk with today's guest, Billy Gill.
There's another one of your songs called Still Life, and you describe it as something that makes you feel groovy, and you hope that it makes other people feel groovy too. So tell us about Still Life and this groovy vibe.
I was just wondering, I wrote this song. I'm a yoga practitioner, and as I was discovering yoga, I was getting really into, I was just like, life was just becoming more and more beautiful every day because I was learning how to live in the present moment. I was opening up, parts of my body, like energy in my body that had been blocked for years, and I was realizing all these amazing things about myself, and I realized, like, man, people get in a hurry, and people really, and myself included, really take it pretty seriously, this whole living thing, and I don't think we take enough time to just sit and enjoy where we are, wherever we are, like in the song I write about, like, being done with school, because I'd recently graduated from college, which was a blessing. I loved college, but I was ready to be done with it. And I write about, it's one of those mornings where you've got nowhere to be and you're just where you are. and really where you've been eternally. Because we think we make progress in life, and truth is we're always in the same place. And so it's good to, I think, sometimes just sit in that place and enjoy it. So it makes me feel groovy, and I hope it makes you feel groovy too.
Let me paint this picture. Don't take my brush from me. The canvas is your eyelids. Close them if you like to see. It's one of those mornings, when you've got nowhere to be. And you're just where you are, where you've been eternally. Damn, it feels good to be free. Know what I'm saying? Well, don't those sheets feel nice and cool? Ain't you glad you're done with school? Don't you feel like such a fool? There's no such thing as failure. Pick it up, try it out, and see if you can get it. If it doesn't make you happy, better to forget it. And if you wanna let me know, I can help you take down your hair. Life is too important to care, so don't be afraid to be scared. I'm just trying to paint a still life for now. It may seem like I've lost, but man, I really just got found. Why would I keep running to fill a hole in the ground? Yeah, I'll take a still life for now. I'll take a still life for now. I'll take a still life for now. Oh, and if you don't believe me, just ask me. I see life slipping past me, and I wonder where it goes before I do. Or can you tell some more lies, please? Just a few to deny these misgivings that I am fine, and you are fine, and we're all fine. So we will find the colorful side of things, and then together we will mend these broken wings and sing and sing and sing and sing and sing and sing. If I could only paint a still life for you, I'd throw a lot of green in, 'cause you're covered all in blue. Why would I keep running to miss this afternoon? I won't just keep running. I might miss some of you, and I'd rather just love you. I would rather just love you. Oh, I would rather I would rather just love you, and I'll take a still life for now.
So kind of speaking in global terms, the fact that through the powers of technology, this program can go out all over the world, what would you, Billy Gill, like to say to the world?
I would like to say to the world, this is a good place that we live in, this world, and just doesn't matter where you are, where you come from. We all got something that we share, and it's just important to remember that. And so, yeah, it's not just you. You're not alone. We're all in this together.
That's right. Well, Billy, I do thank you for coming on here. It has been a pleasure.
Hey, man, the pleasure's all mine. Thanks a lot, Paul.
take off when you fly. The lack of oxygen will help us all get high. And always close your eyes when you're breathing in the spring. The flowers know a tune. They will teach us all to sing. Teach us 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 to sing with me tonight. And I'll show you what I've been dreaming about. Stay with me till the light. I believe if there's one thing to make it alright, it's love, it's love, it's love, it's love, it's love, it's love, it's love. Don't ever close your eyes when you are walking through the park. It's dangerous, you know, when you're living